All right, ladies and gentlemen, got some crypto news for you today. We're going to start with a light-hearted story, and then we're going to get into some serious stuff. I think there's a couple of news stories that my subscribers, my viewers of this channel really need to be paying attention to, need to be aware of. A, to protect your bag, and as well as to be aware, sort of where our bag to be going in the future. We've got some incredible choppy waters that we need to navigate as crypto investors. And those of us who do it successfully, I think we're going to be paid very, very well. By the way, I want to apologize for my throat in advance. Believe it or not, I'm about to leave town. I'm going to go speak at a conference, and my voice, it's not a crypto conference, by the way, it's a business leadership conference, but my voice is already breaking up quite a bit. So hopefully it starts to improve. But I want to get this video out. I'm looking at the news headlines. I thought, you know what? I should make a video on this. So here we go. This is a fun story. We'll start it off lighthearted. Next Crypto Gym TV show aims to be the apprentice for crypto. Basically, they've put together this video, and they're going to have some popular crypto personalities here, including BitBoy Crypto, just to name a few. And they're going to essentially have a bit of a reality TV show with various types of challenges. And the idea is the contestants are looking for the next crypto gym. I have a couple of problems with this, but at the same time, I'm optimistic that anyone who's trying to bring crypto mainstream through something that can help educate the general public, I think is phenomenal. And this looks like the whole purpose is some sort of edutainment reality TV show. It starts, I think it said, is September 9th is when it starts to air. I'll be looking for it. I'll be checking it out September 7th. And I'll also review it on this channel. So you can subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for that review because I promise you it's going to be coming. But I'm a little bit skeptical. I mean, trying to help someone find the next crypto gem, of course, everyone wants to find that. It's a good title. It speaks to a broad market. But how do you do that in a reality show? And then if someone's, are you going to, basically there's going to be education moments called the Big Short moments, and they're going to be have some of the judges given education on blockchains and cryptocurrency, which I think is good. But then how do you marry that with helping someone find the next crypto gem? The reality is finding the next crypto gem is very, very risky, and most people, most experts even, don't do a successful job of it. Almost nobody predicted Doge. None of the mainstream experts predicted SHIB, for example. So trying to predict the next crypto gem can be very, very challenging. So, and I think in hindsight, you wait a year, 2 years, 3 years later, we're in a bull run. I think people are going to be able to look at past episodes, and I think it could potentially discredit the public overall. Just my opinion. At the same time, I'm very optimistic, so let's see what happens. I'm going to be watching the show. I'm going to be paying attention to it for sure. They got BitBoy Crypto in there. I think that's interesting. Could be questionable. BitBoy Crypto, fairly or unfairly, has been targeted for some of the promotion that he's done. By the way, I don't think BitBoy Crypto, this is him essentially defending, or talking about going after Celsius, and he admits he had an affiliate link here. BitBoy Crypto did not know Celsius was a scam, nor do I think he's responsible. I actually don't think, I think as adults we're responsible for our financial decisions, and I want the government and the legal system to leave us alone to make our own financial decisions. So I don't blame BitBoy Crypto for having a affiliate link for Celsius, by the way. I don't blame him at all. He had no way of knowing that they were an outright scam. But unfortunately, some of the lower quality character, independent-minded people, I guess, for lack of better terms. I mean, listen, you have two types in crypto. You have those who are trying to jump on the coattails to get rich, and you have those who love this movement, who believe in it, and believe that as early adopters, as we, get better regulatory clarity in the future, as long as that regulatory clarity is positive, it's going to be a good thing. And many of us believe that we'll get wealthy anyway. Even if the regulatory clarity is negative, the use case for crypto will, supersede any regulations long term. Many of us believe that, and we believe that just being early adopters creates enormous opportunity for wealth. And we believe in the independence of crypto. I don't need the government to interfere with crypto. I need them to get out of my way and let this technology develop, me personally. So I don't blame BitBoy Crypto, but a lot of people do. He can be a little bit of polarizing figure. He had a very interesting lawsuit that went nowhere with a popular non-crypto YouTuber named Atozi. So who knows what happens long term? Who knows if he was the right pick? But at the same time, maybe you want someone a little bit polarizing on your television show, someone who's easily recognizable in the crypto space, and BitBoy Crypto is that for sure. All right, so let's get into some serious topics first and foremost. But let me just say this. If you're looking to invest in the next crypto gem, just two rules of thumb. First of all, you have to diversify. Crypto is risky. So if you're trying to get into various altcoins, I do believe there's some altcoins that are going to potentially explode. I'll probably start talking about more of that content on my channel, so you can subscribe if you want to, stay tuned for that. But at the same time, many altcoins who with great potential will just fail or never take off. So with that being said, you have to diversify when it comes to investing in quote unquote the next crypto gem. You also have to be constantly dollar cost averaging. This means bringing in new funds every single month. The best way to do that, in my opinion, is to create a passive income stream and then use that passive income stream to invest every single month. The way I do that is with one of my favorite passive income strategies is copy trading. If you want to know more about what I'm doing to earn a passive income using this strategy, go down in the description. You put in your name, email, click submit, and you'll get that. There you go. That's my commercial for this video. Now, with that being said, let's get into some serious crypto news. PayPal stablecoin, first dollar-backed digital currency from a major U.S. financial institution. I find this very interesting at face value. I wonder what ultimately PayPal is looking to do. Obviously, they want to get into the stablecoin game. I think they're hoping to bring in a lot of attention to PayPal if they can get their own stablecoin out. I think they're also looking to potentially bring in a lot of crypto volume. PayPal makes their money on fees from volume of small fees, just like any bank, of people using their platform. Now, here's what's very interesting. PayPal has been, just probably 2.5 years ago, they were horrible to crypto. I mean, absolutely horrible. I've had PayPal, I've had them revert, even though like Coinbase and stuff would accept PayPal, I've had PayPal reverse crypto transactions, even to places like Coinbase before. It's been really weird and inconsistent. PayPal's been a little bit murky when it comes to crypto, so it's kind of interesting to me that they're looking to start their own stablecoin. Personally, I've got mixed feelings with stablecoins in general. I don't necessarily want a stablecoin of any kind. I don't necessarily, I wish we could just go straight to Bitcoin and Ethereum, but the practical part of me knows that's not going to happen. And I think most people are going to need some sort of stablecoin as they basically on-ramp or find their way into the crypto space. I think a successful stablecoin product that is truly decentralized could be huge for crypto. Of course, stablecoin, PayPal's quote-unquote stablecoin isn't necessarily going to be huge for crypto, in my opinion. I mean, we'll have to wait and see. But here's what's interesting about PayPal coming out with this news. The Fed, coming into our next story, has started taking aim at stablecoins. Actually, the article says the Fed's stablecoin note takes aim at bank runs and reversible transactions because, keep in mind, they're here to protect you. Even though we have a system that the Fed heads up the entire system, and essentially they're inflating our U.S. dollar value away year by year by year. It's crazy. The U.S. dollar's lost over 96% of its value in the past 100 years because of the literal economic system that the Fed is heading up, essentially. So I get skeptical, pardon me, but I get skeptical when the Fed is going to take aim at bank runs and reversible transactions and all this nonsense. Listen, cryptocurrency is set up in such a way that at its core, when it's truly decentralized, there's no such thing as a bank run in cryptocurrency. There's bank runs on under-collateralized stablecoins. There's not a quote-unquote bank run on cryptocurrency. In fact, crypto gets, I'm getting off topic. Let me just come back. Man, you all know I can get hyped up about this stuff. This is absolutely some ridiculous nonsense. You can go through this article. It's over here on Decrypt. You can go through the article. But what's interesting is the bank is going to protect, the Fed is going to protect us now. And if you go through and read it, I didn't see it in this article. I was trying to look for the original article I found on this topic. But if you go through and read, one of the crazy things that they talk about is that the Fed is going to give, quote unquote, stablecoin issuers, any stablecoin issuer, by the way, even the decentralized stablecoin issuer. See, this is a problem. This is the Fed trying to partially co-opt decentralized finance. We don't want the Fed getting involved in decentralized finance. At the end of the day, the Fed protects the bankers. At the end of the day, the Fed protects the banking elite, if you will. The 1% of the 1%, the uber wealthy, the ones who take a transaction, who don't want us to deal in cash because they want to take a percentage of every single debit card transaction, every single credit card transaction. They don't want us to deal in Bitcoin because they don't get transaction fees. They don't want us to deal in cash because they don't get transaction fees. They want to be able to monitor all of our transactions. They want to be aware of our transactions. They want to ultimately tie a social credit score to a central bank digital currency. That's where we're headed. That's what's happening here long term. You got to pay attention to this stuff, ladies and gentlemen. So the Fed is saying, hey, we want to make certain that stablecoin issuers are quote unquote safe. So going forward, now mind you, this isn't a law. This isn't a law at all. This is the Fed issuing guidance, and they're saying, hey, going forward, you need to have our approval before you issue that. This is, oh my goodness, don't get me started on this. This is such garbage. So the challenge here is, who's the Fed going to approve? They didn't approve Custodia Bank. We'll get to that in a moment. Custodia Bank, literally, Custodia Bank was 100% backed, unlike JP Morgan. JP Morgan's not backed dollar for every asset that they have. Wells Fargo's not backed dollar for every asset they have. But Custodia Bank was backed dollar, in fact, $1.08, $1.08 for every dollar deposited. They had $1.08 in reserves. Fully collateralized bank, which does not exist. They have a banking charter. They seek for approval for the Fed, and the Fed says no. They say no. Look, we'll take a look at this. By the way, here's where I believe we need decentralized stablecoins. Truly, totally decentralized stablecoins, potentially ran by a true decentralized DAO. One project to kind of pay attention to, they've had some bumps in the roads, but they're very interesting. A project to pay attention to is Bean.money. Not recommending them. I'm heavily invested in them, but I'm just literally stuck holding it right now as they develop. I'm not encouraging you to hop in, but I do recommend you check out Bean.money. Check out their documents. Check out this video. A very, very fascinating protocol to pay attention to. Don't know if they're going to be successful. It's one of those sleepers where they're still developing. We'll have to wait and see. I follow them on Discord about once or twice a week. That's all you need to get, stay caught up on what's going on there. But they did suffer an exploit, but they've come back after that. It's going to be fascinating to see if they can make this work. It's basically an under-collateralized credit-backed stablecoin. No one's done this to my knowledge in the way that they've done it. So I encourage you to come check out Bean.money. Again, they didn't pay for that. This is not sponsored content. I genuinely like this product, and I believe that if we're going to have a stablecoin, it needs to be decentralized, which is something that they're looking to do. And my question is, if the Fed comes out with this, you got to understand, the Fed can't actually do anything to banks that are outside of, they can't like file criminal charges or anything like that. However, if the Fed is doing this, oftentimes the people who are encouraging the Fed to do this are some of the same people that are going to encourage Congress to make laws. So sometimes when you see these notes like this from the Fed, oftentimes it can be foreshadowing what sort of potential laws could be coming down the road as well. So if they make it illegal to create a stable coin without quote unquote government approval, that could put projects like Bing.money straight into the crosshairs. In fact, the developers know that. They stepped away from the project a few months ago, which is brilliant. The community doesn't like that the developers stepped away, but the developers obviously are wise enough to see what's going on, and these developers are very much all about decentralization. So they stepped away from the public view. They are developing as well as other people are developing behind the scenes, but now it's more of a community-run project instead of the developers, being the front and center, which is very fascinating. So let's go back to the Fed refusing Custodia Bank, a fully collateralized bank. Keep in mind, Custodia Bank had $1.08 on deposit. Custodia Bank's membership denied for ties with crypto markets, says the U.S. Fed. The question is, why did this happen? And I've got one more news story after this. You're not going to want to miss it. So why did they deny this? Let's just come down here. They said, these concerns are further evaluated with this is what the Fed is saying about why they denied Custodia Bank in their 86-page report. These concerns are further elevated with respect to Custodia because it is an uninsured depository institution seeking to focus almost exclusively on offering products and services related to the crypto asset sector, which presents heightened illicit finance and safety soundness risk. Well, they were trying to get insured through FDIC, duh. However, they don't necessarily need insurance because they have $1.08 backing every single deposit, and they're transparent about that. Who cares if they're serving the crypto asset sector? But here's where, keep this in mind. The Fed clearly is saying March 24th of this year, we don't like a bank that wants to deal primarily with crypto. The same Fed is saying, hey, we need to approve you before you issue a stable coin. How many people do you think they're actually going to approve? And if they approve anyone, they're not going to approve some small bank. They're going to approve the big boys. They're going to approve the BlackRocks. They're going to approve the JP Morgans. That's who they're going to approve. Essentially, it's a financial good old boy system. They also went on to say, further, if the board of governors were to approve Custodia's membership application, it would prohibit Custodia from engaging in a number of the novel and unprecedented activities it proposes to conduct. At least until such activities conducted as a principle are permissionable for national banks. And here the Fed is saying, basically, we don't want you dealing in crypto yet. This was Custodia Bank's response. Historic bank runs in the last 2 weeks underscore that, keep in mind, this is back when Silvergate went under and all that stuff was going on with Signature Bank and Silvergate. Historic bank runs in the last 2 weeks underscore the dire need for the fully solvent banks that are equipped to serve fast-changing industries in an era of rapidly improving technologies. That is the exact model proposed by Custodia Bank, to hold $1.08 in cash to back every dollar deposited by customers. Unfortunately, the Federal Reserve took its eye off the ball and allowed bank run risk to build up at traditional banks, while simultaneously engaging in a crackdown against digital asset industry at large and Custodia Bank in particular. Custodia Bank was approved for initial launch by both its primary bank regulator and an independent compliance consultant last fall. But the Fed and the Kansas City Reserve Bank refused to follow the law, leaving Custodia no choice but to sue. Custodia has not been intimidated by the Fed's coordinated attacks and behind-the-scenes press leaks to confidential Custodia's information. I want to pause right there for a moment. See, average people average citizens don't realize this happens. The Federal Reserve has absolutely been caught leaking to the press Custodia's private information, attempted to make them look bad. This is horrible. This is the Federal Reserve and someone at the Fed essentially trying to create a narrative against Custodia Bank. I mean, people who are asking for regulations, people who are like, oh, we need regulations. I would agree. Good positive regulations are healthy for the industry. But I've never been confident that we're going to get regulations that are fair to you and I, the quote-unquote small investor. If a bank can't get treated fairly by the Federal Reserve, I'm not certain how the Federal Reserve is going to create rules and laws or lobby for laws that are helpful to us. The recently released Fed order is the result of numerous procedural abnormalities, factual inaccuracies that the Fed refused to correct, and general bias against digital assets. Rather than choosing to work with a bank utilizing low-risk, fully reserved business model, the Fed instead demonstrated its short-sightedness and inability to adapt to changing markets. Perhaps more attention to areas of real risk would have prevented the bank closures that Custodia was created to avoid. It is a shame that Custodia must turn to the courts to vindicate its rights and compel the Fed to comply with the law, and hopefully the courts rule in its favor. We'll have to wait and see. But this is the same Fed that's like, oh, we need to create a note that clarifies stablecoin regulations and who we're going to tell you how to basically comply with us. We need to give clarity on how you can comply with us, as if they actually want people to comply with creating a stablecoin that in some cases could be a digital product that competes directly with the Fed outside of the Fed's, enforcement or regulation for their member banks, for lack of better terms. And listen, I'm just summarizing all that. It's very complicated. To be clear, the Fed doesn't create laws at all. Congress does. But similar lobby groups lobby the Fed to make changes and also lobby Congress to create laws. Just be aware of that overall. Why is all this important? Well, one more story. We need central bank digital currencies to be competitive. At least many believe that. Already, Russia's created their central bank, and they are running trials with their central bank digital currency, and they're running trials with 13 different banks. Listen, I'm no fan of a central bank digital currency at all. You need to understand that if there's a central bank digital currency, this means that the government can track every single transaction. Not only that, they can create things like negative interest rates. They could say potentially, I'm not saying they will, it's just what's possible. They could say, hey, inflation is too high. So currently what the Fed does to curtail inflation is they have to raise interest rates and they raise taxes. That's how they pull money out of the system. That's what the government does basically. What the government can do with a central bank digital currency is they could say, hey, interest is too high. Let's do a negative inflation rate. It's the most patriotic. Let everybody, quote unquote, feel the pain, so to speak. And they could do a negative inflation, which would essentially, let's say they did a negative inflation of 1%. It could remove 1% of funds out of the system. What does that mean? It means out of every bank account, every wallet, period. It could just remove 1% if they wanted. Now, I don't necessarily think the government would outright do that, but they would have the technology to potentially do that. And just the fact that the government could have the technology, there's no guarantee that 20 years, 30 years, 40 years from now, that the government is going to always be friendly. And we already know the government's not fair. When you attach a central bank digital currency with a social credit score, which China already has in place, and some people in the U.S. have lobbied before. Listen, think about back when COVID was going on. The amount of people that would hate people who didn't want to wear a mask. I promise you, if those people were told, hey, let's create a social credit score for the people who aren't wearing masks to be penalized in the financial sector, have to pay more for interest if they wanted to get a loan, have to pay more for hotel tickets hotel nights if they want to stay at a hotel, airfare tickets if they want to book a hotel. I promise you there are people in the U.S. that would have voted for such a social credit score when it came to mask. In China, if you read some of the translated newspapers, by and large, the population has no problem with the social credit score. So I believe it's possible we could see something like that in the U.S. Well, when you attach a social credit score system down the road, we're talking about, maybe 10 years, 20 years from now, when you attach that to a central bank digital currency, listen, our rights get encroached upon little by little, step by step. Decentralized currency was designed to solve all of this. Decentralized currency was designed to create a system where you and me didn't ever have to, quote unquote, fight through a revolution for our rights, our economic rights anyway. Bitcoin and Ethereum were created in such a way that we could transact outside of government control if we wanted to. Your funds become confiscation resistant. Think about this. If you were to get sued today by the FTC or the FDA, normally what they do is they freeze your bank accounts and then they sue you if you're your company or your business. Even if you're innocent, before you even go to trial, they freeze your bank accounts and then sue you. So it prevents you from being able to afford counsel. Any FTC lawyer, just ask them. They'll tell you the FTC does not fight fair because before you ever go to trial, they freeze your bank accounts. They can only do that in our current financial system. Can they freeze your crypto wallets? No, they can't. You know what they can do? They can compel you by law. They can say, hey, you're legally required to turn over your private keys, but they can't freeze it. That's incredible if you think about it. Just that simple thing right there. They can't garnish your wages. Some of you, and not every state does this, but some states, they can garnish your wages if you owe taxes or whatever, you owe child support, they can garnish your wages, just take money out of your account. Now, it's not about whether you should pay your taxes or pay your child support. I believe you should probably pay both in most cases. But the idea that the government can just take money out of your account, it can make a difficult financial situation even worse, to me is scary. They should have to compel you by law. They shouldn't be able to touch your money, in my personal opinion. But guess what? They can't garnish your wages if you were to get paid in Bitcoin in a Bitcoin wallet. That's decentralized cryptocurrency. Being able to be in charge of your currency, not having to pay bank fees over and over and over again. Not having to pay these transaction fees. Yes, you pay some crypto fees or miners. It goes to miners, but those miners are helping secure the network. What does the bank actually do to get a percentage of every swipe? Those merchant accounts, which are owned by banks, basically, those merchant accounts, that every time you swipe, you get paid $10. You got $10. Someone gives you $10 cash. You go deposit that $10 cash in your bank account. What happens? The bank starts charging you fees immediately. Sometimes monthly fees, and you're like, no, no, no. They waive my monthly fees because I have $1,000 in my savings account. Okay, great. Now when you use your debit card to go get a haircut, guess what? They're gonna take a fee out of that. The guy who, the barber, probably a small business owner, who takes that money, he doesn't get full $10. He had to pay fees out of it, and that money went straight to his bank account. Now guess what? He goes to the store to buy groceries. That $10 is used to buy groceries. He swipes that card. Another fee's taken out. That $10 gets shriveled up over and over again by fee, by fee, by fee, by fee. Do you understand how over time that $10 gets demolished by a banking sector who just keeps taking fees? Where do those fees go? They trickle up to the most powerful banks in America. And those banks are spending millions of dollars to lobby Congress and politicians, and to finance campaigns for politicians who are favorable, who are going to write regulations that are favorable to them and not favorable to you and I. Decentralized cryptocurrency equals freedom, ladies and gentlemen. I recommend that you educate yourself on crypto. You do everything you can to earn passive income inside the crypto space without having to always bring in fresh fiat, because that may not always be easy. Create a passive income in crypto. And at the same time, DCA into your favorite crypto assets. Understand, cryptocurrency is risky. Nothing in this video is financial advice. But I do believe that decentralized cryptocurrency equals freedom, and this is Crypto Wealth. I'm out.